G'day everybody, this is Moopa Sega on behalf of Moopa Corp. Welcome. Today we will be doing a little video talking about what I believe are the 3 most important sheets to get you up and running with your industrial activities in a Microsoft Excel based system. Let's go. Now, first of all, the sheets that we will be, or the information that we are going to be interacting with today does come in CSV.bz2 format. So the first thing you will need to do is head on over. If you don't have any way of extracting these files, you're going to need to go and grab 7-zip. The link is down in the bottom, or you can head on over to the site here and download blah, blah, blah. The next place that you are going to go is fuzzwork.co.uk. This is a resource provided by Steve Renukin, the many-time CSM member, a terrific resource and an absolute asset to the community. If we're looking here, the first thing before we actually go to this place here, I need you to head to your desktop, create a little folder and call it something like base industry or base sheets or something. Just something where you can store your bread and butter sheets. Actually, why don't we just call it bread and butter? B&B. Let's call it B&B. Now we're going to keep our 3 main sheets in there, okay? So once we are at fuzzwork.co.uk, head on up to SDE. You are going to then go to the latest dump. Latest, then head on down first of all and grab, let's grab invtypes, which is this one here. invtypes.csv.bz2, download that, save it. Next, go and grab industry activity products, which is this one here, .csv.bz2. The next one you are going to grab is industry activity materials, which is this one here. There we are. So we've got our 3 main sheets. It is this easy. This is not going to be a long video. This is what you require to get set up. So I've got those 3 sheets there. I'm going to copy them. I'm gonna head on over to our B&B folder and paste them. Once they are there, of course, we select them again and we say 7-zip, extract here. I'm gonna delete the old ones, the unextracted ones, or the compressed ones, whatever you wanna call them. And here we have our 3 big sheets, okay? Now there are many ways that you could do this. You could just literally open it like that. Just double click on it, and it's going to open it in Excel, and there's all your information like that, yeah? You can do it that way. You can absolutely do it that way if you would like to do it that way. For me, I want to set it up so that it's a bit more robust. And as well as being robust, I'm able to trim the fat just a little bit. We do not need all 50,000, 40,000 rows or whatever it is here. So instead of doing that, let's head to Excel. We don't need this anymore, thank you, good sir. Once we are, actually I don't even need this open either. So once we are in Excel, head to a file, get a blank workbook, open him up. So I am heading up now to data, okay? We're going to get these sheets that we just downloaded and we're going to pull them into our workbook using what is called Power Query, okay? So we are going to data. Unlike last time we went get data from web, this time we are going get data from text CSV. I am heading on over to desktop and I'm looking for B&B, opening that one up. And the first one that we are going to pull in here is invtypes.csv. I'm going to import this. Okay, now if I just said, okay, load it straight away, it'd go boop, and it'd load all that information here, but I'm going to do a transform on it first, okay? So rather than pressing load here, I'm pressing transform data, or data. Or data as the Americans say. Data. Yeah, I got in trouble for saying data. It's not gonna stop me. So once we've got all this in here, we are gonna do a filter on this, and we are gonna do it like this. So head on over to the market group ID, okay? So we don't wanna know any of the type IDs that do not have a market group ID, okay? So we don't want any of the items that are like just planets or that kind of stuff. So we go into the market group ID column, And we're going to filter it by saying everything except things that are called none, okay? So that's going to trim the fat just a little bit here. Now, you can do it two ways when we're clearing out these columns. I can either go like this, and I could say remove column, or I could select the columns that I want, which is column A and column B, those two, type ID and type name, and then I'm going to say remove other columns. So that has tidied this up real nice for us. There is a whole bunch of other information there that I encourage you to go and check. Maybe you want to see how much do things weigh. Maybe you want to check like hauling values or that kind of stuff. You could come up with a little tool that says, I have 50,000 titanium. How much weight is that going to be? Can I move that much? Blah, blah, blah. Any of that kind of stuff. You can go and find that out. If you want to keep that information by all means. So once we have this, I'm just going to press close and load. I'm not going to go close and load to. It is going to put it directly into this sheet. It's going to create a new sheet, and I'm going to call that new sheet inv types. We are going to now do the exact same thing for the other two sheets. One more time, up the top to data. Then we're going to get data. I wonder why I said data with one and then data for the other one. Weird. So we are going to go up to the top to data. Then we're going to say get data from file from text CSV. And we are going to do the same thing here. Industry activity products. Let's pull that one in. This one, if you wanted to, you could transform. You could say, I actually only want to see anything with an activity ID of 1, and that is only going to pull the information that pertains to manufacturing operations. It is not going to pull the information that pertains to reactions or inventions or any of that kind of stuff. But for now, let's just grab all of this one. So just load that one directly. We're going to call this sheet Industry Activity Products, and then we are going to do this one more time. Data, get data. So it seems to be that when I need to say data fast, I say data. I think that's it. I think that's the rule. So from text CSV, industry activity materials, import, and here's another one that you could play around with. Like you could trim the fat, but let's not. So let's just load it straight in. I'm going to call this one Industry Activity Materials. And that is your bread and butter sheets, okay? We are very quickly, while we have time, very quickly going to describe each one of these sheets and kind of what the information is. I'm not even going to talk to you about how to use this in this video, but all the while I'm going to direct people back to this sheet and say, have you got your bread and butter sheets? And let's go from there, okay? So inv types is every item in the game has a type ID. The type ID and the type name, okay? So plagioclase has a type ID of 18, spodumene 19, blah, blah, blah. Tritanium is 34, pyrite is 35, mexilon 36, isogen 37. Now remember that. We head on over now to industry activity products. So type ID, imagine inv types as the name of a thing and its number. Easy. Industry activity products, you need to think of this blueprint ID doing this thing produces this item, okay? So column A, these type IDs, if you put them through this activity, which is activity 1, which is manufacturing, it will produce this item and it will produce one of them, okay? So this type ID through this activity produces this item, produces this type ID, and it produces 100 of them. So this is probably ammo blueprint or something. So inv types is type name and its number. Industry activity products is blueprint produces this. Industry activity materials, when you think of industry activity materials, you think of blueprint requires this. That is industry activity materials, okay? So industry activity materials here, I see 32773 and I see it 3 times. So that blueprint, put it through this activity, requires this type ID, it requires pyrite, it requires mexilon, it requires isogen, and it requires 1327 pyrite, 481 mexilon, and 113 pyrite. So that is how this one works. And you can imagine now how that works. So there's obviously other ones here. If we see 32877, I see that there are actually 9 values, but two of these are invention. So I'm guessing that this might be a ship or something, and it requires 7 of this, 14 of that, and it requires 57,000 titanium. Now that same blueprint ID is probably a Tech 1 blueprint, right? It doesn't matter if it's BPC or BPO in this instance. This doesn't deal with that. But the activity ID here is changed to an 8, which I'm guessing it requires 4 of this. So this would be 4 data cores of that kind and 4 data cores of that when you put it through that activity. Requires 2 different materials, data cores 4 of. So this is probably a destroyer or something, a destroyer blueprint. And that is that, guys. That is your bread and butter. Once you have this stuff set up, you can go and start thinking about doing cool things like this, where you can put in your sheet. Let's say I want to make fusion thrusters. I want to do 50 of them. I want to do them at 10%. I want to start that job. And you can keep track of everything then. You can say, well, actually those fusion thrusters will require 134 of this, 50 of this, 580 of this, which ultimately equates to fusion thrusters costing me 45,000 ISK to make each. Cool stuff like that. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you all. Remember, we are Twitch streaming on Mondays and Wednesday nights. If you have any spreadsheets to share, come along, say hi. You are more than welcome always. So thank you. Mupa Sega out.